Hello, I'm Sam Maggs, and I've renegotiated my contract. I am back.
I'm Jamie Adams, and I brought flowers for you, Sam.
Thank you so much, Jamie.
And I'm Iain McAllister, and I'm the uncaring boss.
And this is Brainwaves, bringing you the best in tabletop gaming news. Here are the headlines for the week beginning Sunday the 24th of June. Netrunner logs out. Fantasy Flight announces they're bringing Netrunner to an end. Origins Award winners, award season rumbles on. And Monolith makes an interesting announcement regarding Kickstarter.
In a surprise announcement a couple of weeks ago, Fantasy Flight announced the end of the Netrunner LCG. This has been going for about 6 years or so. And it came fairly out of the blue. They just recently rebooted the game with a new core set. The new cycle was doing a lot of good things for the game and the meta. Everyone's really enthusiastic about it. But something has happened in the background with the game, something to do with the license, which has now gone back to Wizards of the Coast, we believe. And Fantasy Flight have lost it, so they are no longer going to be able to print Netrunner. That is coming to an end on October the 22nd. Fantasy Flight will no longer be releasing Netrunner product after that point, and Reign and Revelry, which is their last big box expansion, will be the last product to put out for Netrunner. However, they are going out with a bang in September at the Worlds. There's a bunch of events announced there, including the creation of a couple of new cards that will be released to the community, and a bunch of other events. It's no doubt going to be a huge party. And I'm personally really sad to see the end of the game. I played it a lot over the last few years. It was a game where I made a huge number of friends, some of whom I still play other games with. I'll be really sad to see the game go, but as with all these things, and as someone who lived through the 90s CCG glut, it is very likely that a game like Netrunner will come back in the future, and there has been some speculation around the release of Cyberpunk 2077 as a computer game, that maybe Netrunner might see a re-release with that kind of theme around it.
I think the FFG version of Netrunner has really brought it to, well, the world stage of what a card game can be, showing off what card games can be, a new type of competitive card game. I played it, the only time I played Netrunner was when the core set was released, originally, 6 years ago. And it was fantastic. The only reason I didn't get into it was because I didn't want to do anything else competitive and ongoing and kind of the money sink that those kind of games are. But I haven't played a game like it since. I hadn't played a game like it before. And much like all the games we're talking about, nostalgia coming back and loads of things being re-released, I think that the community's gonna be there for the coming years for actually to people take an interest in Netrunner and really think about...
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget, Doomtown, which is another favourite of mine, has lived and died and lived and died and lived and died again.
Yeah.
And has managed that through the efforts of the community. And no doubt Netrunner will see the same thing with community-released expansions and that kind of thing. That is almost inevitable. One of the things I'd like to say about Netrunner is that throughout its entire run, it was always incredibly good at its diversity. The representation amongst the runners and the characters in the game was excellent across the board. That it's one of those games where they've really tried to represent a huge diverse range of race and sexual orientations and color, and it's been absolutely fantastic for that. If you can absolutely find yourself, no matter who you are or where you come from, in Netrunner, and that's really great. And I hope that we'll see more of that from companies in the future. Certainly Arkham Horror LCG is also showing that kind of diversity already. And I hope that FFG carry that forwards and that other companies also learn from that example.
On with awards season now, and this time it's the Origin Awards. So we're going to hit down the list and maybe just have a little chat about them as we go. We're going to start off with Board Game of the Year, and as it's been for the past 2 years, it seems... who knows when this game was released? Apparently it's 2018. It's Gloomhaven. What else? Iain,
it's very good.
Do you agree? You are the only person here who played.
I mean, Gloomhaven will likely be my game of the year by the end of the year. Something's going to... I mean, I'm still enjoying Arkham Horror a lot, and I got into the Forgotten Age recently, and it's still excellent, but I've ranted about how good that game is a lot. I haven't talked about as much as Gloomhaven as much.
I was in a board game shop in Glasgow today, and there were two people in there, and Gloomhaven's just been
Third printing, I think, is just out.
A new print run's just been released as
Yeah.
the day we're recording this, and there's two people who hadn't heard about it, and the shop owner just kind of told them what it was about, what it is, and they just bought it there and then on the spot.
Yeah, and that's £140 just dropped right there.
£140.
Wow.
Never heard of Gloomhaven, and in my head I'm thinking it's probably a good purchase. Fair enough, it's meant to be a great game. But at least, watch a video, read an article.
Yeah, I mean, it took me a year to decide to buy Gloomhaven.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else on that list, Sam?
So, card game of the year, Jamie, Ex Libris.
I quite enjoy it. Admittedly, I've only got it to the table once, but I like the card element of it, the kind of puzzle you've got at the table. My issues with it, the text could be larger. I mean, it could be a lot larger. I've had to print out some pieces of paper with everything on it.
Okay, then, yeah, so some kind of key accessibility issues there of just actually
Yes.
being able to play the game. Family game. Iain, one that you love is Azul.
Azul is good. Yeah, I mean, I've only played it once as well, but it's in my collection at the moment, and yeah, probably deserved it. It's a great little family gateway game.
Cool.
Totally fine.
Something none of us have played, but we've all played D&D 5th edition. Best role playing game of the year is Adventures in Middle Earth, which uses the 5th edition system.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's fine.
I know, Iain, you wanted Blaze in the Dark to win.
damn right. Blades in the Dark is an absolutely fantastic product, and everyone should play it.
Well, it didn't win. Best role playing game supplement of the year: Dungeons and Dragons: Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Great
I've
book.
only just started running 5th, but yeah, that's a really good book.
Yeah,
really good.
I've only had a flick through. And
The random tables for your character's background are absolutely
I
superb.
love them.
So good.
Miniature game of the year, Warhammer 40,000 8th edition. I've played 2 games of it. It's solid. It's a solid edition of Warhammer. I hadn't played any beforehand. My only Warhammer experience is Sigmar, and then I went to 40k 8th edition.
I've read the
Solid.
rulebook, and it seems like they made a lot of good streamlined decisions, but I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, they
so.
absolutely have. Accessory of the year, Terraforming Mars organizer. I don't know.
Nah, you're still organising a product whose component quality is incredibly poor for the price.
Best
Whatever.
collectible card game at the end. Star Wars Destiny: The Awakenings set from Fantasy Flight.
Yeah, I haven't played Destiny yet, but it's getting a lot of good press.
Things. Heard really good
But
things.
it's
I've seen
collectible
it
card
played
game,
quite
so-
a lot. Yeah, it's that whole thing of it being collectible in the sense.
The rare chasing. I'm
I
totally
think
done
you
with
get
that period of my life.
5 cards in a pack, and one of those will be a card that's associated to a die.
I got 3 boosters in a bag when I signed up to Tabletop Gaming magazine at UK Games Expo.
Oh,
Cool.
did you?
Yeah,
You opened them
so
yet?
maybe one of those might make me rich. Probably
Oh,
not.
we'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Mm.
Maybe. It's meant to be a good game.
Yeah.
It won an award. Well done. Star Wars Destiny.
I mean, no crazy surprises there. Like I say, I would have liked Blaze to win because I think it's a really interesting RPG doing something very different. Adventures in Middle-earth, I'm sure is a fine product. Cubicle 7 produce really good stuff, but it's just a bit middle of the road.
Yeah, I
I was,
suppose.
I was having a look through the nominees just as you were talking there, Sam, and kind of a lot of the ones I wasn't surprised by some of them, especially things like the board games and the role playing games and the family games. Just going, yeah, it's generally a strong contender, and but at times there was going. Great Western Trail is nominated. I could be wrong. I thought Great Western Trail came out late 2016. Or same with Santorini, which was also nominated. But then
Same with
again, I am
Gloomhaven.
known to be wrong multiple times. Monolith, creators of Batman Gotham City Chronicles, the other Batman game, and Conan, very large Conan box, has made an announcement regarding Kickstarter. Now, previously, they have said that Batman Gotham City Chronicles is only going to be available through Kickstarter. They were not going to sell it to retail at all. They apparently had a lot of trouble with Conan, and that's the reason why they lost a lot of money on distribution. So, as I said, Monolith have just made an announcement, and what's going to happen is Kickstarter it's said in their recent announcement they made via Facebook it's going to basically turn to almost just a standard storefront for Monolith. Their reason being, reading their press statement was, according to them, traditional market, 60% of a game's value is retained by distributors and stores. The way that they're providing, or they're suggesting, is the profits and the money is shared equally. Basically, they can get more money from it. There's less go-between. And also, there's no risks. You don't have to worry about it being in print. And you potentially get a better bargain.
But basically what they're doing, they're printing the games before the Kickstarter even starts. So the games are finished and done and printed, and then they're using Kickstarter as a storefront.
Sort of, yes.
But they're saying this 1 month window is your only opportunity to buy the game. We've got X amount of copies. You'll only be able to get whatever it is within these 30 days. After that, nowhere.
So their first game they're going to do is Claustrophobia 1643, which is the game that they're just.
So wait, you'll only be able to get it through the Kickstarter, even though they'll have already printed however many copies it is.
So what they're going to do? So I'm going to read from their press statement right now. Okay. At the moment, we're using our cash flow to not only develop but also to produce and deliver boxes of Claustrophobia 1643 to our hubs, 5,000 to US and European, without any backer or distributor having previously ordered them. So without the guarantee of selling them, as is usually the case in a classic circuit or on Kickstarter. As such, our pledgers will neither have to advance cash nor wait a long time before being delivered, or even fear there will be a difference between what is being shown during the campaign and what they will get once they are delivered, because all the games will already be waiting for their future owners in the warehouses of our local partners.
Wow. I think that's madness. From Kickstarter's point of view, because Kickstarter have been arguing for years that they are not a storefront. They're absolutely not a storefront, and that is basically turning Kickstarter into a storefront.
Yeah, their reasons are, crowdfunding has evolved as, I don't say a medium, but it's as a market. They want to talk more about the game, less about the money aspect of it. Stretch goal system
we see organizations, we see companies like Call Me or Not. So they go to Kickstarter with essentially a finished product. You can download the rulebook, you can see lots of videos of the game being played, and that's essentially a finished project going to Kickstarter. And their Kickstarters aren't about the money, they're very much about the game. And fair enough, it might be unlocking this stretch goal, that stretch goal, but it's not saying, oh, we need the money to give you this rulebook, we need to give it this level of artwork, this level of component. They're very upfront of what the game is. So why can't other companies follow that kind of?
I think it's a subject for a brainstorm sometimes, certainly. But I'd just like to say that I think that Kickstarter opening up a massive can of worms by letting Monolith do this on their site, because it basically turns into Kickstarter into the thing that they say they are not, which is a storefront.
See, they checked with them. They're saying they're not breaking any of the rules of Kickstarter.
No, I'm sure they're not.
No, and they're saying things like stretch goal system is a marketing gimmick. Of course it is. Of course you want to pitch in for the higher
a marketing
things.
gimmick they have used.
Yeah, no, of course, but everyone who backs a Kickstarter is guilty of buying into the stretch goal marketing stuff.
Yeah,
and also they're wanting to attract, going to them again, attracting new pledgers. People who are okay to pay £60 to £100 and then wait a year, say, for their game, or in the case of the Evil Dead 2 or Terminator,
product is printed
2 years for no game.
Yeah, presumably the product will be delivered within like a couple of months.
Their estimation is yes, that's what their point was. They don't need to wait for it; it'll be there.
It's very odd.
It's really strange.
Let's move on. So, Free RPG Day was last weekend, which is a day every year where a bunch of publishers pledge to put out free RPG product. A bunch of stores. You can't always get the same product at each store. Big companies are always involved, like Paizo for Pathfinder. I'm not actually sure if Wizards were involved this year, not according to this list of stuff. So Wizards didn't put anything D&D according to this anyway. But a bunch of different companies there, like Goodman Games for their Dungeon Crawl Classics. Renegade Game Studios released a little preview of their Kids on Bikes RPG. And most importantly, Lamentations of the Flame Princess. The excellent James Raggi, who produces fantastic D&D books inspired by metal. He released Eldritch Cock for Lamentations of the Flame Princess, his follow-up to last year's fantastic book, Vaginas Are Magic. I mean, there's anything really more to be said about that.
I mean, you can't really say anything about it, just going, well, they exist, they're things. Okay,
Eldritch Cock does have a picture of a very large rooster on the front cover.
I thought it might.
Oh, that's more than appropriate, surely.
Incredibly appropriate.
Yeah.
Speaking of Eldritch, there's been an announcement from Cool Mini or Not and Guillotine Games, two of the biggest names currently in board gaming. Eric M. Lang and Rob Davio have announced Cthulhu Death May Die. Players will attempt not to stop an alien god of the Lovecraftian mythos, but rather summon it accidentally or on purpose in order to, according to Cool Mini or Not's own press statements, shoot it in the face. It'll be a series of standalone episodes. There will be a 2-act structure in each of them, which will feature before the monster is summoned and after the monster is summoned. No player can die in the first act without a loss, but any number can fall in combat with the alien god as long as it dies.
Sounds very Eldritch Horror-y to me.
It does, doesn't it? It's minis and dice. There's going to be lots of high-quality miniatures. This is Eric Lang we're talking about. He's attracted a certain... cliche about him in that there is a lot of miniatures. And generally, there will be high quality. And guess what? It's coming to Kickstarter and it's going to be launched soon.
Yeah, I can't say I'm particularly bothered. I mean, Arkham Horror is basically the definitive Cthulhu game for me, as far as I'm concerned.
Also, Arkham Horror, for me, has just made me look at, like, show me this, and it's like, you get 1 million amazing miniatures, and Arkham Horror, the card game, has just kind of made me just completely think about miniatures in a whole different way, and it's just like, great.
I don't need those.
We've got a few reprints coming out, reissues of games. So the first one is Arboretum. Iain, you said this is a game that you're very much looking forward to. Been wanting to get your hands on it.
Yeah, I've been trying to find it for ages. I think it would be a good one. I think my folks would really like it, but you haven't been able to find it at all for a couple of years at least. So I'm really excited to see it come back with some beautiful new artwork. Yeah, really looking forward to that one. I'll definitely be picking that one up.
So that's coming in September, supposedly, from Renegade Games, in a very, very nice box.
Yeah.
Looks fantastic. And secondly, Z-Man Games, now part of the Asmodee group, as we all know, like everyone else is, have announced a reprint of Condotierre. This is building your army and growing your house across Italy. I played this years ago and I really liked it. It's a nice little card game. In a sense, it's kind of top trumps and chicken. In a sense, you put out cards until someone backs out, or you win by what you play.
Yeah, it's an interesting small box game.
Yeah, no, it's a nice game. It's relatively short. As I remember, it plays between 2 and 4 people. Am I correct there?
Yeah.
And it's nice. All new artwork, all new components. The board has been updated. Everything used to look a bit more, don't want to say bright and colourful because that makes it sound better. But everything's a little bit more worn now and a bit more in theme. But it's a great game. Check it out when it comes out.
Last year, there was a game tournament called Unrivalled. It was predominantly in America. And it was an attempt to set up a board game version of esports. Last year, there was about 9 or 10 sets of games that we played in regional qualifiers throughout America, and the winners would fly to a big grand final in Las Vegas, and prize money was about $250,000. Didn't really hear much about it, and then this year, they were going to do it again with a new selection of games that would include King Domino, Exploding Kittens, Evolution, and Champions of Midgard. However, this year, the company Unrivalled has said they're going to have to cancel it and basically try and do better next time. They were not really seeing they could make much money.
There's something to do with there were some problems in their parent company.
Yes, their parent company, Umba Inc.
I heard about this a couple of years back, and I thought it died as an idea because it just didn't exist.
I think it was predominantly an American thing, so maybe we didn't hear much about it over here for that reason. But I would have liked to have heard more about it, considering, it sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, possibly.
I'd like to have seen, if they continued what interesting games they do with it and how they're changing selection. Would there be running themes? Would there be one of like particular? Oh, there's gonna be one deck builder and one like partyish game or something like that. But it's a shame that it's almost an attempt at board games kind of going really big and trying to match, the furore that is not furore, but the madness that is esports.
See, I don't know if board games ever really want to go there. One of the nice things about board games is they're more relaxed, slightly slower pace to things.
No, that's true. That's true. But I think as an attempt to go big, you got to applaud them for trying. But it's a shame that it's fallen.
As you heard last time, Jamie and I were at UK Games Expo recently. Sam was not. Sorry, Sam.
Was I not?
No. Well,
I thought I saw you. I thought you were in a video, Sam.
I don't know. I remember this podcast thing happening.
Yeah, who knows?
I remember.
But anyway, Jamie and I were there, and we went around a lot of exhibitors, got a lot of games played, and generally had a great time. But one of the things that we noticed was that the quality of demos was extremely variable, and it's one of those things that you think we'd have gotten a little better at over the years. There's been a lot of conventions, a lot of time for that sort of knowledge to permeate out through the community. So we want to have a little talk about, well, why are we so bad at demos, and what makes a good demo? What makes a really solid demo? What do you think, Jamie?
I think if you're able to succinctly explain the aims, how to go through your turn, simply explain as much as you can, good and bad suggestions, and why things are good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you want to do play badly and have the person explain, okay, this is what will happen when you play badly. Don't just go, oh, that's bad, I don't think you should do that.
Yeah, I think a really key thing of the demo experience is letting the players play their game.
Let them make mistakes.
Yeah. Just let people play the game the way they want to play it. Talk them through the game and what happens when you do this and why, just the elements of the game. But ultimately, that needs to be their game. That's the biggest thing for me anyway.
To me, a demo shouldn't be much more than 20 to 30 minutes at most. I used to be a member of a group called the Collective Endeavor, and we would run RPG demos in 20 minutes. Our RPGs usually have a 3 to 4 hour time slot, but we could give an impression of that game in 20 minutes without any problem. And that's what I want to see from companies. I don't want to be offered hour to 2 hour long demos.
Completely, especially if you're an event like especially if you're an event like the UK Games Expo where you were, and you've got so many things to get around, and you do really only want to look at things for 20 minutes and move on, 20 minutes, move on. Yeah,
a good demo should be the trailer for your game. It doesn't need to be the whole thing. And there was a really interesting thing that I've been thinking about a lot. I haven't put out my Expo Niggles post yet, but that's coming. And it'll be up on the site in the next couple of weeks. But one of the games I got to play was Holding On, and I had to book in for a demo of that.
Yeah.
And that is basically...
If you hadn't told me, Ian... I'm sorry, if you hadn't told me about the booking previously, I wouldn't have been able to get a game either. And I was actually surprised when you told me how many games are actually setting up like booking forms for this in the game. I think you did say something like 60. What was it, like 60 people out of however many tens of thousands got to play like the full first scenario from that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's useful to the company, and that's maybe a completely different discussion to be had with people that actually run these things. But the thing that I really don't like about having to book in those demos is that how do you know those are there? If they were part of like the UK Games Expo app or the system, then everyone could get a fair shot again in those. That's
are they
fine.
not?
But no, they're not. So this one I came across because I happened to follow Hub Games on Twitter, and they posted about it, and they posted about it to their Facebook page. So I got in that way. But if you don't follow these guys, then by the time you hear about it, you don't know. And that, I think there's an accessibility problem there. There was another one. Portal Games were running demos of Detective, and I think they were just for the press. But those demos, in air quotes, were 3 hours long. And
they were with Ignacy Cevicek, the designer, weren't they?
Yeah. So I have a concern here, and my concern comes from the early days of indie role-playing games, where there would be games would come out, games would be playtested at cons or played at cons with the designer, and people would rant and rave about how great they were, and then the books would come out, and the books were incomprehensible messes, because no one outside of the designer's circle or people who had played directly with him had ever read them.
Yes.
So they were incomprehensible. They were useless as
we were
as
playing
poets.
a game at the weekend, all of us, and it was a similar problem with a game that just seemed to have been play tested internally. No one else had seen the rulebook for this, and it was just a mess.
Yeah.
And another thing I have at demos is very similar to that. Make sure the person who's demoing the game knows how to play the game.
That is knows how to play the game of mine.
Inside out. So if I ask a question mid-turn, I'm not waiting 10 minutes for someone to flick through a rulebook.
It is a problem at things like UK Games Expo because a lot of the teams and companies that go there will have a large number of volunteers, and the extent to which those volunteers are trained, I don't know. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, there are times when someone will turn to another person and go, like, ask about a rule or that kind of thing. I was pretty lucky at Expo. I didn't get a lot of that, but I've certainly seen it before.
I've happened once at the UK Game Expo when we were playing Gretchinz from Devere Games, and it didn't make the game worse for me. It just made me go, oh, come on.
It just stops the flow a bit, doesn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
and then when several years ago, when Sam and I and a friend were playing a game at Compulsion in Edinburgh, and the guy multiple times went, hold on a sec, and just turned around. He had the rulebook in front of him, turned around and spoke to someone else. And I think we kind of sat there going,
Yeah,
well, okay.
and I think that just stops your experience. If you're trying to get a demo of the game and actually your lasting thought is a stop-starting
Yeah, there's no
experience.
flow, there's no pace.
And yeah, that just...
Yeah, well, I released a game many years ago called Revenge of the Bee Movie, and that was like a 30-minute card game. I took it to one of the early UK Games Expos. I took about 100 copies, something like that. That was when Games Expo was much smaller. But my demo was only 10 minutes, despite the game only being 30. And it was just a quick in-out, show you a couple of rounds, let you play some turns, shove the product in your hand, take your money. And that's what demos should be. In the end, a demo is selling something, be that the leaflet to your coming Kickstarter, the board game that you can shove in their hands. In the end, you're going to Expo as a company to make money or get exposure, and you need to be churning through those people. I mean, maybe it's worth it for the... I mean, ideally, I think, and I'll be saying this in the article that's coming as well, I think the ideal situation would be like 20-minute short demos on the stall, and then like a second table maybe booking in longer demos.
Yeah,
I think,
absolutely.
Yes.
or send someone to the free play area.
And I take it with
send
holding on,
people
you
that
could
way.
still approach the stall and talk to someone about the game. And
Yeah,
there was,
absolutely. Yeah, they were talking people through it, but
but there was no sit down and play.
yeah,
Unless
I am
you
sure you could construct a 20-minute demo which would show you some of the mechanics and that kind of thing, and you could talk people through the game. I mean, it's harder with holding on, and if you want to go and check out...
it's a scenario-driven game. It's just...
It's a scenario-driven game, and if you want to go and check out my first thoughts on the site, you can. We'll link that in the show notes. But I am pretty convinced that most games can be boiled down to a decent 20-minute demo, and I'm offering right now, if you want, get in touch and I will help you make your 20-minute demo for your game, because it's something that you should be able to do.
I think another reason why they might be slightly longer is obviously you've got all these ticked so many boxes, right? Say the theme of the game, you succinctly explain it, you explain the anatomy of the turn, X, Y, and Z, and then you explain to the players, and then you want them to try their own strategies as well. Unfortunately, it does mean that this eats more into the time.
Yeah, but that's fine.
No, that's fine. It's trying to find that nice balance. I think the other thing is communication. If you know the game inside out. And the thing is, if you're demoing it and you're explaining it, you need to remember that you might know this game, this little intricacy. People who are demoing it or playing it won't. They don't know this. So explain almost everything.
I kind of disagree that I don't think you need to explain everything. I think you need a rough overview, and if something comes up, then you can mention it.
Okay, well, there was a game you and I were playing.
Was fine.
There was a game you and I were playing, and the guy demoing it was kind of going, right, I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this. And I was like, why? And he kind of said something, and it just kind of, it was almost like a hand wave. So I'm doing this because...
Which game was that?
Was it Hero Master?
Oh, right, yeah, okay.
And I felt like I had no idea. Like, I had a hand of cards. I didn't know what was going on. And I kind of, I'm doing this. And you went, oh, that's fine, because I'll just do this and gain X points, and this will improve my dice roll.
Making a 20-minute demo is really hard. Like, making that short demo is really difficult. It's not necessarily easy.
No.
But I'm absolutely convinced it can be done. And you don't need to show all your mechanics. You don't even need to show your entire turn structure. You just need to give a flavor of the game. Like you said, it's a trailer. And like you guys were saying, if someone stops and turns around and talks to someone else, it's like you're streaming a trailer and it pauses halfway through to tick up.
And you're just going to lose interest and want to go somewhere else.
You're just going to lose interest and like turn it off.
Well, it was another thing. It was another
snappy and short.
It was a slightly different thing, but I went to play Fog of Love with my partner, and we sat down, and I know Fog of Love quite well, and the guy explaining it, I listened to him. I played dumb because I wanted to see how well it was explained, and I sat there and I played it, and I listened to the guy explain it, and I went, okay, and you can pick up a bunch of things inherently from the game, but there are certain mechanics he didn't explain that if I didn't know what was going, I then turned to my partner and went, by the way, this is what he missed out.
Yeah, I also think it's an odd game to demo.
It's an odd game to demo, definitely, but there are certain mechanics that the guy didn't mention. I then turned to my partner and went, this is what this means.
No, completely, yeah.
Hold on to them for now. And this is not, I'm not completely knocking the guy. It's just, you got to remember there are like some things that you go, okay, these will come up.
That stall was way too cramped. They were trying to ram way too many people.
They ran about 6 games of that.
Too much in that space.
A very small space.
Yeah,
but it was the hotness. It was surrounded by, the booth had the things going, this is a great game, this is a fantastic game, you got to buy this. From all different reviewers saying that. So of course they were going to try and squeeze as many people as possible. I completely agree. It was just, hopefully they should have got a bigger booth.
I've also had some demos in the past that have started off perfectly, exactly what we want to say. Here's your turn overview. Here's what you do during a turn. This is the overall outcome of the game. Boom, we're good. And then you finish that first turn, and then they're just like, so carry on and play a game. And it's just like, but I don't want to. I've played a turn.
Yeah.
I'm not here to sit for an hour and a half and play the rest of the game.
I had a couple of that in last year's expo where myself and my mate Gaz, who were playing the demo, had to basically go, yeah, we're done now, and left. Yeah, that's another thing you have to do in demos is read your audience.
Yeah.
Maybe that game's not for that person. That's entirely possible. If they look bored, just let them go. Say, okay, we'll wrap this up and let them move on. Don't insist they keep playing. That's bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's an element of like social interaction into like running a good demo. It's like you need to read the people you're demoing to. It's just one of those things. It is hard. It's difficult to run a good demo.
I'm not for all that we're saying. You need to do this. You need to do this. It's still major props that you're doing this. You're doing this to hundreds, maybe thousands of people, and it's fantastic. And I don't have any experience with demoing games apart from games that I've played in my shelf to friends. I just go, fantastic. I bow to you guys. There's just small things that would just lift just that much.
I just think it's one of those things that's not talked about enough in the industry. Is that like how do you do a good demo? How does that come about? And there seem to be a lot of different approaches. And I think if it was just a little bit more standardized, almost, if there's just a little bit more of a sort of regular approach to it, that'd be a lot better. Of like how to do this kind of stuff.
Yellow, several years ago, posted an article, and it was just called "How to Teach Games Like a Pro." Demoing, teaching games, there's some overlap there, but it's kind of something I've been following. And their layout is very quickly 6 steps. A, game theme, very short. B, victory conditions and a game trigger. C, a very brief summary of the major parts of a round or turn. The anatomy of a turn, strategy, and post game. I think. Yeah,
cause you can wrap up post game after the demo. You can say like, here's how the game ends, that kind of thing, and that's quite good. But yeah, so basically, 20-minute demos, that's what you want, folks. Especially if you're running a small stall, really fast, short demos. If you've got a bigger stall, then maybe a booked-in system. But I think like booking in needs to be... I think booking in demos really needs to be integrated into the con. It needs to be something the con picks up on. Because if it's just individual companies doing it through their Twitter or Facebook accounts, then it's effectively exclusive.
Yeah, or maybe in the way of like holding on, it's here's a 20-minute overview of the game. And if you want to come back tomorrow and play the full scenario for an hour and a half, here's a sign-up sheet.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that would work really well for me. And there's lots of free play areas, so you could set up people in the free play areas and say, our free play team are over there. Go and play some games with them. Or something like that. So yeah, we can all get better demos. There's always that little room for improvement. And like I say, I'm absolutely up for offering help with doing demos. Absolutely.
Get in touch, folks.
Get in touch, absolutely. And let us know if you've had good demos, bad demos. Get in touch with the show and let us know what you think makes a great demo, because we're always willing to hear different opinions.
And finally today, on Brainwaves, we've all been playing a game. And it's a good game, we think.
All together.
Yeah.
In person.
5-minute chase from Board and Dice. A game that claims to play in 5 minutes, and I'd say realistically plays in like 2 to 3, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a real-time chase game. Cops versus robbers.
Real-time tile layer. Yeah,
yes,
it's really good.
Sees players laying down tiles. It can be played 2 players or 3 or 4 players. Probably works best as a 2-player game, but can be played with more.
Yeah, I played it 2-player, and I think it's really good.
Yeah,
and
we played it 4, and
we
played 4, and it was chaotic. It was much more chaotic. It was quite good fun.
I then played it 2, and I think I had a more enjoyable time because it's a bit more streamlined.
If I was going to try and explain it very quickly, I'd try and say the real-time kind of franticness of Magic Maze and the tile laying very similar to Carcassonne.
Yeah, that's fair. Guys, what's that noise?
What noise, Iain?
They're on to me. They found me.
Oh,
I've got to go. Sam, Jamie, I managed to get away. So I'm the runner, and I've got 2 piles of tiles in front of me. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to go through one of those piles at a time, looking for tiles to lay down in a particular way. I can't mismatch the roads when I lay a tile down. I can't let police be next to empty roads or to another police block. Got to be next to trees so I can escape through them. There they are.
I am Officer Adams, and I'm the chaser. I don't have a set of tiles. Instead, I have these double-sided counters in blue and red with a different symbol on each side. You see? There he is!
Anyway, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a way out of town. I'm looking to get to my safe house. In order to do that, I need to find keys, maps, and some cash so I can get out of town in the proper fashion. These tiles are really hard to get to. They're surrounded by police. So, on top of the chaser, always being on my tail, always just one step behind me, I'm frantically looking through for a way to put these very difficult tiles down. It's the cops!
Damn, missed him. Anyway, my job, you see, is to place one of the counters I have on each tile the runner's laid out. Each tile has a number of witnesses on it, and I've got to place the correct counter depending on what the witnesses are telling me. If I manage to land a counter on the end of the path the runner is on, then I'll win. As long as I didn't make a procedural error.
Once I've got all 3 down, safe house is easy to get to. It's surrounded by trees. There'll be no problem at all. But getting there's going to be a problem. Chaser's always on my tail. There's always that anxiety that he's about to catch me. And I've got to think fast and move fast, or I'm never going to get out of town. Quick, this way.
Jamie, you still there? Jamie? So thanks so much for listening, everyone. Will Brainwaves continue? We don't know. But if you like what you've listened to, the best way you can help is just to share the podcast. Drop us a review and rating on iTunes. You can also follow us on Twitter at The Giant Brain, Instagram, Giant Brain UK, Facebook, The Giant Brain. Our website is giantbrain.co.uk, and of course, just email us, giantbrainuk@gmail.com. You can also support us via Patreon, a link that you can find on our website, and you'll find all the links to the news in our show notes. Whether we're back next week, who knows? Iain's gone, and I'm not getting anything free from Jamie. So you're going to have to follow us on social media to find out the future of the show. It's the only way. See you possibly soon. Thanks for listening.